There's something powerful about tradition. It holds history, respect, and discipline. It's unyielding, unbreakable, or at least that's what we're meant to believe. But every now and then, humanity finds a way to break through even the toughest traditions. And that's exactly what happened with the royal guards. You've seen them before, standing stone-faced outside royal palaces, unwavering, emotionless, like statues in uniform. Their duty is clear. Maintain composure, show no reaction, no matter what. It's been this way for centuries. Rain or shine, they stand there, a symbol of strength and discipline. Tourists from all over the world come to see them, to marvel at their stillness, to test their patience, to see if they could make them smile. They try everything: funny faces, silly dances, even harmless taunts. But nothing works. They are trained to be untouchable. But behind those stoic faces are human beings, just like you and me. They have hearts, feelings, and stories of their own. It's easy to forget that, standing on the other side of the ropes, seeing them as nothing more than part of the royal display. But every once in a while, in rare, beautiful moments, their humanity breaks through. This story begins on a cold, gray morning outside Buckingham Palace. The air was crisp, the sky heavy with clouds threatening rain. A small crowd was already gathering, cameras in hand, waiting to catch the iconic changing of the guard. It was a daily tradition, almost like a dance, perfectly timed, perfectly rehearsed. Among the sea of faces was a young boy named Liam. He was small, fragile-looking, with pale skin that almost blended into the cloudy sky. His tiny frame was wrapped in a coat 2 sizes too big, the sleeves rolled up to reveal his thin wrists. His eyes, though, were bright and full of wonder. He stood as close to the ropes as he could, leaning forward on his tiptoes, desperate not to miss a thing. Beside him was his mother, her face lined with exhaustion, her shoulders heavy with worry. She kept one hand on the wheelchair behind her, where an oxygen tank sat, tubes trailing from the machine to her son's nose. She watched Liam's excitement, her own eyes misty, knowing how much this day meant to him. Liam had read all about them. He knew their history, their traditions, their unwavering dedication. To him, they were heroes, unbreakable, untouchable, fearless. He didn't see their stillness as cold or emotionless. To Liam, it was strength, it was courage, it was everything he wanted to be. As the guards marched out, their footsteps echoing against the stone courtyard, Liam's face lit up. He watched them move in perfect harmony, every step synchronized, every motion precise. They were everything he had imagined and more. He clutched the rope in front of him, his fingers white from the cold, his eyes wide with admiration. One guard caught his attention more than the rest. He was tall, his red uniform immaculate, his bearskin hat perched perfectly on his neck. Without thinking, Liam lifted his tiny hand and gave the best salute he could manage, his fingers trembling from the effort. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was filled with all the admiration his little heart could hold. His mother's breath caught, her eyes welling with tears as she watched her son summon all his strength for that one gesture. His eyes flickered, just for a second. He glanced down, breaking the rule of unyielding focus. His gaze landed on Liam, on his pale face, his trembling salute, his oxygen tank by his side. In that brief moment, the coldness of duty melted away, replaced by something tender, something real. The guard's face softened, just a little. He took a step forward, his polished boots echoing on the cobblestones. Bending down on one knee, he faced Liam, bringing himself to the boy's eye level. And then, with all the grace of a knight honoring a young prince, the guard returned the salute. Liam's eyes went wide, his mouth dropping open in shock. And then, his face broke into the brightest smile, his cheeks flushing with joy. For that moment, Liam wasn't sick. He wasn't frail. He was a soldier, brave and strong, just like the man before him. His mother's tears fell freely now, her hand covering her mouth as she watched her boy's dream come true. Around them, the crowd fell silent, their phones forgotten in their hands, witnessing a tradition break, not from defiance, but from love. The guard's salute was small, just a slight lift of his fingers, but it meant the world to a little boy who needed to feel strong, even if just for a moment. And then, as quickly as it had happened, the guard stood back up, his face returning to its stoic mask, his body resuming its rigid stance. It was as if nothing had happened, but everyone who saw it knew better. Liam looked up at his mother, his eyes shining. "Did you see that, Mum?" He saw me. He really saw me. She nodded, her voice too choked with emotion to speak. She hugged him close, her heart full, knowing this was a memory they would carry forever. As they walked away, Liam kept looking back, waving until the guard was just a red blur in the distance. He was tired, his body weak, but his spirit was strong. For that one day, he was more than his illness. He was a soldier, brave and fearless. That guard never broke his silence. He never moved again from his post. But behind his stoic face, his heart was full. He knew he had done something that mattered. He had given a little boy hope. And sometimes, that's more important than any tradition. The Royal Guard is bound by duty, by history, by rules that go back centuries. But sometimes tradition gives way to humanity. And on that cold morning outside Buckingham Palace, one soldier showed the world that even the strongest traditions are no match for the power of kindness. Sometimes, it's the smallest acts that leave the biggest marks on our hearts. And sometimes, even the coldest traditions can be warmed by a little boy's salute.